Today's podcast is sponsored by Shauna Hawkins Photography. Welcome to the Mental Health Raw and Open podcast with your host, Jody Betty.
Hi, and welcome to the Mental Health Raw and Open podcast. My name is Jody, and I'm your host. And today we are chatting with Dr. Muriel Boven, all the way from Belgium. May I call you Muriel?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, of course. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my
It's
God,
my
it's such a
first podcast
pleasure.
ever, so
Oh, really? I feel honored that it's your first podcast. And we were just chatting a moment ago about it was just like random coincidence that we ended up finding each other. So it's kind of like, sometimes people are thrown in people's paths for a reason, and here we are having a conversation when might have never happened, right?
yeah, exactly. We call that in the Jungian world synchronicities.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So
Very
you are
important one.
yes, you are a psychiatrist. You are an author of two fantastic books. Poetry, just absolutely beautiful, so meaningful and so in depth. And why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of
Well,
course.
about myself. So, as you said, so I'm a doctor. Psychiatrist. So first, you need to become a doctor. So I had to study for 7 years to do that, and actually never planned on actually really being a doctor. But my sister is a surgeon, so that's how I
Wow.
kind of ended up in all of this. And because my main focus, I think, since very young, I was always very curious about the human being as an ecosystem, not just I've always been interested in the depth of things, and I felt like
Right.
okay, med school is so long, so I think like it will be good for my curiosity. I can learn so many things before actually decide to do, because I started med school at 17. Uh,
Wow.
yes, so I was, yeah, but I'm a very young psychiatrist, I have to say.
Yes,
Uh,
I was going to say that too. It's like,
yeah,
holy,
but
that's
very
incredible.
old soul at the same time.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
And
That's
so
awesome.
so that's how I started all of that. But it's funny how, even Steve Jobs, he talks about the fact that how you connected the dots in your life, but not like while you are living your life, but a bit later you can be like, okay, I did that, that makes sense, this makes sense. So it's so funny, like to look back on all of this, because I wrote the books in English, but French is actually my main language. I only
Okay.
learned English in summer school when I stayed in London at the age of 11. So it was even funny for me when I wrote the book, and now the books are even in Barnes and Noble in New York and Waterstones in London. And you feel like
Wow.
I've walked in those streets. I could not even speak French. I speak English, and then now
Oh
I'm
my
the one.
gosh.
Yes, it's so funny. And so those years of med school were actually at the same time very long, huh, because can be also draining to go through all of this.
Hmm.
It's overwhelming. So I guess that med school is a first encounter for even yourself of how your mental health is very important in life. And to get through all of that, what I did was actually travel a lot and go live with my sister in different type of countries. So whether it's in London, UK, Mexico, Mexico City in Mexico, or Manhattan in New York. And
Wow.
during all those years of med school, I tried to go and grasp a bit of the knowledge that would happen in those remote areas. How would people feel about mental health, behave, try to help people heal. And I think like that's where it started to broaden my perspective on life at the same time. And I think that's slowly like this. Actually, Psyche was born, which is my company. I'm like the CEO of my own company. I have my own private practice.
Literally, I'm looking at someone who doesn't look a day over 25, by the way, just to be honest.
Yeah, my patients are still are still trying to figure out how old I am. But yes, so that's the funny part. But yeah, with all of this, well, I fell in love with Jung. So Carl Gustav Jung is a well-known psychiatrist who
Mhm.
invented the analytical psychology of depth. And he actually, like, even very long time ago, 1920 or something, he did an interview on the BBC, and he explained how he perceived the psyche and all of this. And as soon as I heard this word psyche, for me, like, it's like two words collide at the same time. So it's like my very pragmatical brain, like scientific, like Occidental med school, and all my other side of like going to live in ashrams in Bali, meeting Mayas at the end of the world, all of this, and everything like collided in one. And I'm like, but this is like, this is it. That's the psi, and the chi, and it's psyche. So all of that
Yeah.
happened all of a sudden like this. So I had actually that in my head, but at the same time, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just like, oh, that's nice. I felt like I figured something out, but at the same time, I'm not even a doctor yet or anything, so I just
Right,
continue.
right.
And then I actually decided to do psychiatry. So med school at my time was 7 years, and then psychiatry you need to add 5 years on top of that. And then I decided to do that. I was hesitating between surgery and psychiatry because, as I said, because of my sister. Um, but then I realized that as a surgeon, like, it's a very noble, very nice, like, beautiful job. But at the same time, as I said in my psychiatric concourse at the time, I believe that as a surgeon, you can, like, save a life. But then I realized through my encounters with psychiatric patients that you can actually maybe not save, but like intervene in someone's destiny. So I felt like, okay, surgery is life one time, psychiatry destiny, and someone is like related to so many others human being. That's what I want.
Yes.
And so that's how I ended up in all of this. And then starting from there was a long, very long path, long, very difficult, like, working hours, because you need to help people through their own mental health, but you might work for like 100 days a week without sleeping yourself. And so you're actually pushing your own limits, which I
Yes.
feel like it's the unfortunate part of medicine, is that how much, like, us as doctors, we are put forward to help other people or patients, but like to forget about our own selves.
Yes,
So
yes, yeah.
I feel like that's the kind of toxic part of about medicine. And at some point, doing all of this, COVID happened at the same time when I was
Okay.
at my third year of internship, of psychiatry residency, and everything went down, as you know. And I was
Hmm.
on my own at that time. And then, well, I still had to go to the hospital and help, because psychiatry was a big crisis at that time. But since I was a doctor going into those emergency care unit and stuff, I could not really, like, see any people and put other people at risk, like my parents or family. Everyone used to stay at home.
Right.
I had
Yeah.
a lot of time on my own. And that's when I remember this psyche thing I thought about a few years ago.
Bam.
And I'm like, well, no, I have time for I have time for this.
Yeah.
things we can do. And so that's where, actually, because that's the funny part about the books, that's where I started writing my proper book on psyche, which is about traveling inside yourself,
Okay.
and it is a 9-step guide to lead people to find like inner peace. And at that same time, in those 9 chapters, I during this like COVID pandemic, I started to draw more again because I like art and everything, and I did some ephemeral artwork. Don't know if you know about that. It's like Buddha board and stuff like this. It's like you paint something, and at the same time at you paint it, it disappears. So it's very beautiful and like metaphorical.
Wow.
So those like are also into those books and help people like see through a lot of different layers into themselves. And so that's actually the proper book that I was supposed to release, had in mind, and started to, well, it kind of exists already, just need to finish it. But so that's what I had in mind. And then I continue and during my last year of psychiatric residency, I actually get sick myself. And
No.
so, yeah, well, at the same time, I was praying for Ganesh, like during my entire, as I said, Ganesh, remover of obstacles. And I helped so many, like 10,000s of psychiatric patients during those 5 years of working nonstop, that I didn't see that coming. But at the same time, as I said, while you are putting like all the time others in trying to put their mental health, physical health, and everything in order, you stop caring about actually your own mental health and your own physical health. And I think like at that time it was a wake-up call for me inside my own body to
Yes.
be like, you're literally hemorrhaging inside, and now you need to stop. So that's why
Yes.
at the end, well, I still finished and got my degree and everything, but I decided I'm gonna actually quit medicine, stop everything, go on a sabbatical. And a sabbatical, I don't even know. Like I felt like I'm gonna go on a sabbatical, but I might never come back. So I gave away all my belongings.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that's the funny part. So I didn't, as I said, like I became like minimalist. I changed my whole perspective. Like I started to heal myself the way I healed other
Yes.
people, and well, just focused on the main important things in life and became very minimalistic. Didn't even have a purse anymore. So I decided I'm
Good
gonna,
for you, girl.
so very like big jump, I guess, big leap,
So
I guess.
whatever can fit in my pocket, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. And for people who know me, I'm very like, I like beautiful things. I'm like I'm not materialistic, but I like beautiful things, even if they're not much. But I went from one side to completely opposite side, kind of being a monk. But then at that time, I felt like that's what my soul actually needed, because that's what people like, what the society is telling you, the unconscious collective and everything. But I felt like I've been on others people path for so many years, and I'm so young myself that I actually need to do something for myself. Which is why I even wrote like a letter to the Medical Council of Belgium saying I'm out.
I'm out. I need a sabbatical. I might be back.
Exactly. And so yeah, people didn't understand, because after you studied for more than
Yeah,
12
they're like,
years,
what are you doing?
that you're kind of talented at what you do, it's crazy. And at the same time, you have the guilt of all the patients that you see, that you're just saying, okay, stop, I can't. But at the same time, I felt that as a inner call that I should do something for me and see what would happen later. So I went to live in London during that time, again with my sister. And she has small kids, and it's so funny, for 5 years, when you wake up and you end up in psychiatric wards and people committed suicide and stuff like this, and you arrive there and she has small children, and I took them to school one day, and I arrived there and I realized, well, there's a life. Well, people are okay. Like,
Yeah.
When you see like those small children, they're playing, everybody's smiling, and I felt
Yeah.
like that's what I need now. I need like to get in touch with people that are well for me to remember, okay, this is not all psychiatry and there's a balance like in life at the same time. And that's actually where I started to remember that during the past years, or whether I would see patients or through my own relationships, that actually I was writing a lot of poetry. And during that time, I felt like, well, all of those poetry, like maybe it makes sense because I start to see in life that things, even if you cannot see it, as I said, as Steve Jobs said, you cannot see it like looking forward, but when you look backwards, you feel like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And I felt
Right.
like maybe there's a sense in this poetry because myself, as I read other people's poetry, it's like touches me very deeply, and I felt like, well, maybe that's a type of healing that's not very like confronting, but that can touch people so deeply that they can actually like up level their level of consciousness and stuff like this. And well, that's how it started. And then I asked one of my brothers, yeah, do you know like about I think I'm going to write a book about like a path of healing that you can find that's not confronting and that people can read at their own pace, and actually very short because I don't want to overwhelm with word, kind of a like of a Tao. Like I don't know if you've read the Tao, but it's like very short, but at the same time
Yes.
you read one, you're done for 1 year. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
and then my brother is like, yeah, you should check on Amazon. Apparently, you can do that yourself and everything. So it's more like a joke. And I feel like I start to assemble this poetry and I start to see like, okay, this makes sense. Like there's a path on the way to, for me, what's the most important thing in life is like love, not like being superficial, but like from a very deep side, and the love that you carry inside your own self. And then that's how it came to me, like your one-way ticket to love. Because for me, as soon as you found love inside yourself, it's not really something that you can lose. And I ended up writing a bit of those books also in Berlin with that brother. I went with him and I wrote there. And all of a sudden, the book was born. And my dad, when he was very young, wrote poetry. And it's funny because
No, really?
it's funny because he's Flemish, but he wrote it French. And well, and I'm Belgian, but I wrote in English. And I asked him also, can you read the books? Because, but at the same time, it's very difficult also to ask to your dad to read those type of books because
Yes, yes.
it. But at the same time, I believe that the beauty of poetry is that, which is why I actually published the books at the end, because I felt like it doesn't talk like just about, because that would not be interesting, I think, about me or my path. But I feel like poetry is so impersonal, but at the same time, super personal at the same time, which means
Yes.
that you don't have to feel like someone is pointing the finger at you, because it could be pointing at you, at me, or anyone. But at the same time, I feel like every time you read poetry, it can hit another layer of your being. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
that's the nice part, because if it's to write something that would just be personal, I think that I wouldn't have done it. And I felt like this could help people resonate after I saw so many patients struggling with this love inside of them, the toxic relationships they're in. And I felt like at the end, we're all one, and we're all going to, you can be a psychiatrist, you can be anyone in life. You will go through heartbreak and loss and grief and everything. So I felt like either of better than me writing a book saying like, this is how you need to go through grief. This is
Right,
like,
right. Yep.
like that's a bit boring. So I felt like poetry, you read it and then you do what you want with it. And what I like, what people, most people don't really grasp, is that since, as I said, I fell in love with Carl Gustav Jung a long time ago. In this Jungian perspective, we have the idea that inside each one of us, we have a more feminine archetype and a more masculine archetype, which has nothing to do with genders. Huh? You can be
Yes. Yeah.
one, like that's not the thing. But everyone has those two sides, and with
Mm-hmm.
which masculine would be like more pragmatical, action, straightforward, and feminine would be like more intuition, creativity, and stuff like this, letting go, being in the flow, receiving, and all of that. And I felt that that's why those books are also written with those type of polarities: him, her, me, you, because I realized that if you read them very deeply, you can also realize, because I believe that relationships are kind of a dance and a mirror sometimes of the dance that we are doing with ourselves unconsciously.
Yes.
So I felt like in those books, you can also read them as how would my inner masculine treat my inner feminine. For example, I don't know, like a stupid example, but I have a pimple on my face, and then I look at myself in the mirror, and I feel like, oh no, I don't want to go out like this. I'm super ugly. Da, 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 da. This like more caring masculine part of me, would it be like, oh yeah, you're so ugly, like just don't go out? Or would I be like, but it doesn't matter. I still see your beauty. You know how you would like it's kind of
Yes.
like self-husbanding, how you would like a partner to act with yourself. And then I started also, because I reread my own books every once in a while, because depending on my own consciousness, even I grasp different things, and I'm like, but who wrote those books? Like, and it's crazy, but I feel like, as I say, I believe like as because that's why I explain all of this like path of those books coming to life. That it's actually the universe who birthed the book through me, and to like share it with the world, because it was never in my plan, my path, or anything that I could ever think of that I would do those type of things. And then I put the books in on Amazon KDP, and then well, it started selling, people start to order, they say feedback, and then all of a sudden, like, I receive an email saying your book is being sold now in Barnes and Nobles in New York. But I myself in the past went, because I live with my sister in Manhattan, New York, and I remember passing by, in your 20s, and now I have like these Barnes and Nobles, and if I go on the website and put my name, I can see myself there. So it's very funny how, as I say, I think all of this is synchronicity, because it doesn't come from anything of me. I don't really understand how any of this happened, but I feel like that's the beauty of life, to see that things connect themselves on their own. Actually, when the more you let go, actually, the more you let God at the same time. God being whatever, the
Yes.
universe, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of it all, and deeply touching for me as well, to see that people resonates, whether it's men or women, because mainly, of course, I'm a woman, and I'm concerned, and I try to help the feminine on a daily basis in my work, even in my private practice. But as I say, I still care about men and try to help them as well. So I
Yes,
still
of
have this
course. Yeah.
intuition. And it's super touching for me as well to see how men can be moved by poetry like this, because of
Yes.
course they also have those two like polarities inside. And I guess like that's the beautiful gift that I got through writing all of this, is it's to see how actually poetry affects people, and gives you a gift that you can keep with yourself forever, actually.
You
What
know, it was so funny when your agent reached out and then she sent me a copy of the two books and I was just like, oh my God, this lady's a psychiatrist and I gotta read. I was picturing like, I don't know, like two big books or something, like something so dense. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read these and like my attention span and I have my own mental health issues. So I'm just like, okay, settle down, whatever. And then I opened one. I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. It's little quotes. I am a quote. I love quotes. I love sayings. I love poetry. One of my dear friends is actually in London, UK, and she's a poet. And she's written some books too. And it's just like it reminded me. She writes like a little bit longer, but your quotes were so short and so impactful. I was just like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. That hits home. This hits home. Wow. What a great perspective. Like, as I was just, and I just flew through them because they were just so, like, incredibly deep in so few words, but so, like, precise and accurate of what you wanted to say. And I thought it was just beautiful. Both of them. Just absolutely beautiful. So, congratulations on that. Kudos to that. That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what I wanted. After, as I said myself, reading millions of pages to
Yeah.
become a independent psychiatrist. Every time someone talks to me about big books, I'm like, okay, this is not for me because that's too much. Because we in today's society, so many informations. No, no, no.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just to take it slow, and yeah, that's what's nice about it. Because when you talk to me about like attention and focus and everything, I'm like, well, I think this is perfect for you because
Yes, it was. It was. It was like I was actually sitting with my family and I was like, "Oh my God, this lady has written the perfect book for me. Everything is impactful. It's really short. I can read through it, but I found myself like rereading certain quotes and then like processing them and analyzing how they like impacted my life or how my life has had like similar like types of tragedies where you can take a different perspective from and you showed the different perspective on everything and I was like soaking it all up so good. I'm like, okay, they're in my cart on my Amazon cart because I think I'm a book collector. I love like actual books. So
yeah, yeah,
I like physical books, so they're in my cart to buy because like I read them, but I want to be able to also have them and put them with my poetry collection.
thank you. Yeah, that's what I say to my patient because, as I said, I'm an old soul, and even in my psychiatry practice, I still write by hand and everything. So people are like, "You look so young, but you behave like you're 80 years old." Yeah, so that's
It's
funny.
beautiful to have an old soul. I think it's beautiful. I think I have an old soul too. I had to grow up very, very quickly, and I think I developed an old soul because of it. I noticed when I was a kid, I didn't really like to hang out with friends my own age because I was
I,
like, oh my gosh, they're so immature. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I feel like I was like 10 years older than them already, even though I was the same age. And so
yes,
through
yeah,
my whole life, everyone has just been older. My mentors, my friends, everything have just always been older because I
yeah.
felt like that was where my mind fit in.
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes you realize that it's actually you feel like same age, but you don't live on the same floor. Like
Hmm.
don't even understand. So yeah, I feel like indeed it's a beautiful, but at the same time tragic path of being an old soul, huh? Because it comes with a cost. So it's very beautiful
Yes.
for sure. But as I say in one of the poems, is like, of course, no one is paying you for that type of like deep work and deep like trying to change your perspective, work on this, work on that.
Yes.
But as you say, which is why at the beginning just started at poetry, and then when I published them, because then one was born like this, and what is funny is then the second appeared also just like that, like the second book, because the one book was happening. I would say like I didn't even know, but through the years, and then ended when I put medicine on hold. But the second one, after I wrote the first one, actually, I think wrote it in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when
That's
you see the
awesome.
depth. Sometimes even myself, I'm like, wow, that was a catalyst for a lot of things. Yeah, because it's
That's
funny to hear
amazing.
that even like in the Greek antiques and all of that, they had this this healing practice where people would encounter, well, as many sufferings as the human beings can live, and they would ask people, they would go to the temple and they would ask people, I think you should write a song about that. I think you should write a poem about that. I think you should write a story about this. And people actually felt relieved when they did produce the effects
Yes.
of the healing. And I heard that not that long ago when I went into a Jungian analyst conference in London. And I was like, oh, wow. I believe that very long time ago, they got a lot of things figured out. And I felt like, yeah, because as soon as you can create something out of the chaos, that's where you kind of start to find order and peace in the chaos. Because
Yes.
as long as it stays like confused, it's very difficult. But if you can make something out of it, I believe you can grow stronger and actually heal those parts of you then.
Yes, because you know what? Like, I had a very, very traumatic childhood until, let's say, I was about 19. And then I just, ignored trauma happened and went about my 20s and everything else. And then in 2016, I had stayed quiet about everything. In 2016, someone said to me, because I'd always liked to, I was always a writer when I was a kid. And I thought, you know what? Someone said to me, you need to start a blog. And I was like, a blog? Who wants to read about my life? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, whatever. I just started dumping blogs out left, right, and center on everything, on all my past, everything. It was probably the most like cathartic healing that I had because I didn't realize like how much was buried and trapped inside of me. And it was just like, flowing out on paper. Like I was like, who's writing this? Like, what's happening? Where is this all coming from? I would reread it and go, what? Like, I don't even have half of me. My mind doesn't even remember this happening. Yet when I opened up the creativity path, it's like it unlocked so many memories for me. Because as you know, like with trauma, sometimes we block off huge chunks of
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So
for sure. That's what we keep doing
yes,
again and again. And we're not even
yes.
conscious about it.
Yes, absolutely. So I just started dumping all these blogs and then all these people just started reading them and I was like taken aback because I'm a
Yeah.
stay under the spotlight person, right? And then I wrote one and it was I've dealt with suicide my whole life and I wrote one day when I was really mad. I got off a crisis line and I just was like, what are these people even saying? Like I was so frustrated, so I wrote a blog, and it was a really honest, raw, why you should get through this crisis that you're in right now, why you should get through the moment. And for some reason, girl, it went viral. Like, it's in schools now, it's in like 15 languages, it's got 4 or 5 million hits. And from that, I actually left my email address in it.
Ah,
And
wow.
people started sending me messages from all over the world, everywhere.
Relate deeply. Yeah, as soon as you touch the depth of someone, well, they're connected to you then.
Yes. Yes. And so they started sending me all their stories and everything. So I just recently thought, you know what? This is my book. So I went back and I contacted these people from like 8 years ago. I was like, you may not remember me, but you've reached out to me in crisis. Can I use part of your story? And would you like identified or would you like to keep it anonymous kind of thing? So that's the book that I'm putting together right now is just
Ah,
a
wow.
book of letters of people's stories because I believe that everybody's story is so important.
Yeah,
It's
that's
always
what.
gonna
Yeah, yeah.
it's always going to touch someone and we have such a huge ripple effect that we can't see, right? Like, so you affect me by your poetry and then your poet, I pass that on to other people. And before you know it, 100 people I don't even know are going to read your book, right? It's just that huge effect that we have that we can't see.
Yeah, ripple effect. But the crazy thing is that, as you say, people like we don't realize, like we most often than not, we diminish the role that we have. And as I say, because first, I don't look like a psychiatrist, as, as you can see. But the thing is that for me, you can be a psychiatrist, a baker, a hairdresser, doesn't matter. Like, you can never say like, okay, that one has a less, like a smaller impact than me, because me, I'm a psychiatrist and I
Right.
know and all of this. Because the truth is, most people in life are not gonna like really meet me, because psychiatry is very specific. People are sometimes most people are scared. And what I realized from observing life is that people, when they go to buy their bread, or they go to cut their hair, they have a very specific bond there where they feel seen, because actually that's what psychiatry is interesting. As you said, with the people there, they reach out to you because through you seeing yourself, they actually at the same time feel like you're seeing them.
Yes.
And that's the most precious gift you can give to a human being, because if you remove all the other human beings on earth and you're not being seen by anyone, you would die. Like, it's survival instinct at the same time.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I believe that like everyone on earth has like, doesn't matter what you do, but through the job that you're doing, you can still, or the job, or just by you being you, you can have an impact, and bigger than what you think, on other people. Yeah, for sure. And as you said, which is why I advise a lot of my patients to write, because you said you had this difficult childhood and everything, and then all of a sudden, like, everything's like comes back at the surface, but way later. But it's the downside of
Surprise, I'm here.
very much surprise. But the thing is that at the same time, those defense mechanisms, that they manage to get you to this age, at least.
Yeah.
Because if you are stuck with all of this in your head and all of that, it's difficult to construct yourself. So it's like defense mechanisms, they work short term, but yeah, long term they backfire, and then things don't solve.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, and even for myself, I feel like writing is very soothing. And I say to my patient, whether if it's just for you or you have like an argument with someone or anything, it's interesting to write, because I realize that at the same time that you write, you are also being another one for yourself who is reading the one who is writing.
Right. Yes.
Feel like that's where it becomes therapeutic at that time, because you need others, but you can be that other for you. And the fact that you put it on
Mm-hmm.
paper, it's also the fact of, okay, it rests there, like it doesn't like keeps in my head over and over again. And what is very nice with these poetry things, because at the end I didn't finish the path, but well, it's not finished. But I then went a bit on holidays and everything, and I guess after 9 months of sabbatical, then went back to London a little bit. I felt like, also what I didn't say is that I did that I did do, it had a huge impact on me. I did a pole dance journey during all of that. So I quit medicine and everything, but I started pole dancing during that time, and it helped me. It helped me a
It's
lot.
like this. It's so random out of the blue. I was just not expecting that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, because that's why there's a poem in the books. It's called Paul Kissed.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I
And that's,
never didn't even think about it.
and people who don't pole dance, they don't know. But when you pole dance, kind of hard, and you get those bruises. And because it's pole dance and very, very nice, we call that Paul Kissed when you have those bruises.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah, and what is very funny is that I believe that pole dance like is very alchemical, in the sense like it's this bar, like kind of masculine energy being there, standing, holding you, while at the same time you are being in your feminine, going around, like all of this. And it helped me in my own path into the balance between those masculine and feminine energy. And what I liked about that, because psychiatry is very intellectual and also talking, but it's important to get the body involved at the same time. And well, I do a lot of things with my patient, whether it's hardcore runs, talking about practice of the chi, like martial arts of China and stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
qigong, like that. But I believe in those type of activities that you would never believed of, but that have been thought, and where you can actually find yourself back as a woman in a very safe and secure environment. Because for sure you're not wearing a lot of clothes and everything, but all these things about how do you feel? Do you feel safe and secure inside of your own body? How do you
Right.
feel about people looking at you? But it's so protected, and so people who are there are very well intentioned. Like you see other women and everything, and having like this peaceful like sorority in those type of vibes and clubs, I feel like you release some layers of judgment and
Yeah.
that you don't accept in yourself as a woman. But yeah, just to say, so that's the that was the funny part of my break, was the pole dance part.
You
Which
must be so strong.
pole dance is so strong because
I
I have
know.
background in classical like ballet and all of that. But and at the beginning I felt like, oh, this is gonna be so nice. I'm just gonna, and then I was like, wow, you need you need to be super strong to do those things. So yeah, that's nice because it's also the balance between strength but smooth at the same time. So it's again like those
Right.
types of feminine, masculine. So it's very beautiful. So I might also in everything that I do pull at some point a pole dance academy or something in my practice for women to work into their perception of their bodies and all of that. But after 9 months of all of this fun and all of that, first thing, I healed my medical issue that I had, because I did also lots of acupuncture, changed my lifestyle because of my inspiration of psychoneuroimmunology, which is your psyche will be very much impacted by how you actually are feeding yourself, the way you sleep, in the way you are actually eating inflammatory diets that you actually don't know. So I stopped all of that for 2 years at least, and found my balance again. And once I found my balance, I felt like, okay, well, I guess now I'm ready again to go and help other people, because I helped myself on my path. So
Right.
now
Right.
I can actually go back. And that's how I ended up opening my own private practice. And well, it's been more than a year now that I have that practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girl, I would fly to Belgium to see a psychiatrist with a dancing pole in their office. I love it. I think that's just like, and it's so funny because are you in your office now?
No, I'm at home because I work.
Okay,
That's
because you,
something I work 3 days a week actually, because everything that I
okay.
say to people or my patients or anyone, because I believe that sometimes psychiatry and medicine can be quite fake, in the sense of like you're telling someone to do something, but you're the one doing the opposite. And I really,
Yes.
that's also why I put a break on that, because I felt like this doesn't make sense. I cannot keep saying those things to people and myself behave completely the opposite. So I do what I preach, and which is why to become a psychiatrist, because to become is already hard, but to be a psychiatrist on a daily basis is not that easy, huh? Because
Yes.
really,
Yeah.
like compared to just like psychology, it's really people who are like with mental disease and stuff like that. And I feel that since I do it in a very like I would say ancestral way and very deep, and because of the psychiatry and the therapy I created, which is called Psyche, it's very demanding also for me, because I really like care
Right.
for the human, not just as, oh, this is one person, but as an entire ecosystem. So takes a lot of work, a lot of energy. And to keep a balance in my own life, I decided, okay, half of my week I'm going to dedicate to this, and then the rest of my week I can go and actually feed my soul with and
Yes,
nurture.
refill your own cup.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I realized that because I'm a big believer in archetypes, and I believe that as long as you're stuck in the savior archetype in your life, you're doomed. Because you, and as a doctor, it's the worst to realize that, because you need to realize at some point you did not come on earth to actually save anyone. Everyone has to save themselves, but you can be a companion, a guide, a light on the path. And
Yes.
since I had that breakthrough, I felt way better, because I'm more, I would say, at that time in my life, I'm more into the witness archetype. I believe like it's more fulfilling, whether for me or actually for people, because I don't take credit for, oh, this one is healed, this one is finally married and happy, because I'm not God. So some doctors, they believe that they're God, but I'm just a
Ah,
normal human
yes.
that I know. And in all of that, what is, I would say, very nice is to see that my patients with the books, as you say, I use them as poetry therapy, like literally, because I believe that we have those one-to-one sessions, but in between the session, they can actually take the books, do their own journey with the books without needing me, self-reflect, try to understand which layers it touch inside of them, how they can actually perceive the situation differently, mostly to actually reclaim their power. I believe a lot of life is about I reclaim my power. I stop being silent when actually I wanted to talk. I stopped to people please, and I tried to choose myself. And I believe in that sense, the books are quite helpful as well to my patients
Mm-hmm.
in their own intimate bubble, which is what I like very much as well.
I love that. Like it's so, one of my problems with psychiatry is I go to psychiatrist and I walk in the office and all I see on the walls is like 500 degrees. There's no art. There's nothing. It's just like degrees of everything in a big bookshelf full of like every psychiatry book, right? And then somehow I feel like they've detached the head from the body.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and
Dissociated.
Yes, and I'm a big, like, I know my body stores trauma. I know it has stored trauma from the past, and I'm working to release that trauma. And to me, in so many psychiatrists are just like, here, I'm going to slap you with this label. You're diagnosed as this. You should take this medication, and I'll see you in 6 months, right?
Yes.
And then they don't even like recognize them. Like, well, what about that random inflammation in my leg that's been there for 7 years? And they're like, well, we don't know, go get medical tests. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, 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 it's not medical, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's very interesting that you got a grasp of on all of this, because me it's complete, but which is funny at the same time, because yeah, I'm so young, and I have like this practice where I'm in, which is very beautiful, and which is funny. I'm surrounded by art there, and it's very
Yes,
beautiful.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's actually the opposite of any psychiatric ward or unit you might have,
Yes.
because that's what actually I think that's why also I took a step back at some point, because I felt like, okay, I'm allergic to this. This I cannot do, because it's putting like a plaster on like a hemorrhage, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just like, okay, I'm putting this on top, but this is gonna bleed, and well, I see a lot of people, a lot of psychiatrists doing that, but at the beginning I was frustrated and a bit disappointed about about those type of psychiatrists. And then because I always try to see and change my perspectives on things to bring more peace. So as soon as I go into judgment like that, I realize I come back to myself, and I realize that actually they're also protecting themselves. What are they?
Yes.
Because they're not looking, they're doing that to you, but they're doing that to them,
They're not doing their own work.
Yeah, exactly. And so for them, it's so confronting that at the same time, they rather stick to maybe themselves. They're taking those medicines and they don't want to talk about it, and they're actually reproducing that with the patients. But what those psychiatrists they don't understand is, as you say, people they don't relate to that anymore. They feel like, you've seen 5% of my ecosystem, but what about my 95%? Because
Yes.
you're
Yes.
not helping me there. And
Yeah.
which is why I need also to release that proper book that I talked about, for people to be able to, with masterclass, and then people can do this path of beginning of healing on their own, and then reach out. Because, as I said, I'm just one human being, and so many people want to come and that I would be their psychiatrist, but I cannot humanly do that. I cannot
I
follow.
know. She got a list of 1,000 people. She's like, I 3 days a week, guys. Three
Yeah,
days a week.
exactly. And the thing is that if I do more, I'm the one ending up in psychiatry. So there's nothing I can do about that, but I can see how people are actually like asking for what I'm giving, because, as I said, you arrive to
Yes.
the practice, everything is like, well, it's minimalist, but it's art. All the books that I have, none of my degrees are there, not even my books. I just have a book of Carl Gustav Jung, candles, art on my back, and then I have all those plants. Like, I have a plant wall.
Oh, I
With,
love it. I love it.
I have
You're
all
like
those
my dream psychiatrist.
And I have all those things about Gustave Klimt, Auguste Rodin, Botticelli, all this art that Leonardo da Vinci, all those people that did so many beautiful things that are not psychiatrists, and
Yes.
and that's what actually I love about it. And I have those few rocks, like healing rocks and stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I put also those like aromatherapy, but it's so funny because for some patients that saw me in psychiatric hospital in the past and arrived there, they're a bit shocked, to feel like, but I'm a psychiatric patient, I don't deserve this. I deserve to
Right.
be in those very unwelcoming places, very white, everything is dark and stuff like this, in the sense of the energy, the buildings are old and not really like all of that. And I was shocked also at the beginning to see how people are affected and even touched by the fact that, but Dr. Boven, she cares about me being in a nice surrounding. Like, does not
It's
need
like
to
going
be.
into a spa.
Yeah, exactly. Because they even get. I selected herbal teas for them to get before they can actually come into the consult if I have few minutes late and stuff like that. So it's all about this yeah, caring environment, because I believe that it also like acts as therapeutical. But in modern society, all of that is put to the bin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, man, you have such a story. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm saying you no more than 27. That's it.
I'm a bit more.
You don't look it, darling. I swear to God, you look so young. I'm just like, how has she done all this already?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And I love that approach. Like, it's so human. And I think sometimes that's what's missing from therapy is that sense of like, being able to connect without feeling like you're on a different level, because I know for me sometimes like I can struggle with feeling less than, or and when you walk into someone's office that's full of degrees and they're like got the DSM-5 in front of you and you're just like, oh God, here we go, right? Like you're just flipping through the page, you're like, this is you, read this and this is your diagnosis kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
you walk into your place, it's like a spa, it's welcoming, and then you're also connected, like almost like somatic therapy, the head and the
Yeah,
mind
yeah,
all
yeah,
together.
exactly. It's all of that. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, huh? The things I do doesn't
It
look
is, but
like
it's amazing. It's
it.
amazing. Like what a gift to give to the world. Like really, what a gift you are. What a blessing you are as a person.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be able to, because at some point in life I believe that there's only so much things you can do or have, and to be able to have like that impact in depth in people's life. And when you see how much what my intuition was when I decided to not be a surgeon and be a psychiatrist was actually true, because then you realize, oh, but then the niece, the son, the mom, the brother, all of those people around, they're also cheering up for the therapy, you know? They're also
Yeah.
like, so how is Dr. Boven? Are you still good? Yeah,
It's so awesome. Such
beautiful.
an beautiful example of what therapy can be, instead of like what you picture conventionally.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, yeah.
think that is
Yeah,
very welcoming. And when you're welcome, you feel safe. And when you're safe, it's easier to open up, right?
yeah, exactly. And at the same time, well, as we said, like it's also scary, you know, when you're young and you try to like, well, I cannot even say I try to develop while meeting all those peoples like everywhere in the world, traveling inside so many human beings, traveling inside my own self. You realize that actually it was all worth it, and but it's also scary because you're actually taking a path that other people are not anyone else on earth is taking that path, you know, it's mine. And
Yes.
so you don't really have like that guy on that guide on that path for you to say like, yeah, yeah, it's the time to open the psyche. Yeah, it's good to go and open your private practice, you know. Your colleagues would be like, what is she doing? Like people wait till they're like 60 years old to do like go
Yeah, yeah.
psychiatry. But I believe that as long as you follow your heart, like in depth and soul, you cannot like be misleading whether others or yourself. And I feel like the beauty of all of that is that, as I said, I understood through med school that medicine is a lot about statistics. So they would talk to you about those studies and all of that. I have nothing against all of that. I'm actually grateful that medicine like exists in that sense. But at the same time, what I work with every day on an everyday basis with my patients is the fact that, well, at some point, I don't really care what. Of course, I have the degree, so I know what the DSM-5 says. I know what the study says. But at some point, the studies, they don't know you as a human being. You know, they don't
Right.
know your own ecosystem, and they haven't studied you. So I would never like. I work with labels in the sense of it's an indication of something, but that's it. I would never use the label again. If we need to do a report for the law, the medicine and all of that, we would put that because you need to like accommodate
Yes.
and
Yeah.
adapt yourself to the way that you're supposed to talk as a doctor. But with my patients, I'm not really interested in, you are going through depression. No, no, I want to know. And we try to make a map of what depression means in your ecosystem. How did it develop inside your entire psyche, life, history, family, and everything? And actually, then brings more sense at the same time, because to make sense of
Hmm.
something that would make sense for you, for me, for that one, as we are statistics, doesn't make sense. And I try to avoid as much as possible labels, because I believe that as soon as you put that label on someone, then they're stuck inside of it.
Right? Oh my gosh, it's like putting someone in a box and then
And
you
I'm
just say, okay,
allergic to
you're
that.
this and stay in that box.
Yeah, and people, that's why they don't realize, because it's the two things I'm fighting against. Because once you're in that box, good luck to get out of it.
Yes.
Especially if the doctor, who's the one who's supposed to know more than you,
Keeps putting the lid on.
exactly, of course, you're never going out of that box. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I don't like about that is the fact that actually you're not realizing it, but you're like giving your power away. You're saying, okay, with my words, because that's what interesting with Mayas. I've been like I went to meet Mayas again, like in Mexico, just 2 months ago. And it's funny how they remember to me that in those very old Maya civilization, they had a way to perceive life that's so different. And they said that for them, black magic or white magic is words. As soon as you would speak into something in words of, I am this is my diagnosis, then I will have that consequence, and then this. But you put a spell on you, because I realized not that long ago that actually the world, because I'm a lover of words, the words actually even spelling in English came from the idea of to cast a spell.
Dispel. Yes.
And people don't even know that. And actually, so
Yes.
it resonates with this Maya philosophy to say that, of course, if since you're very young, someone says to you, you're ugly, you're fat, it's black magic at the same time. And to get out of that, but as a psychiatrist, I can say it's very difficult. You can be the thinner in the world. You would never believe it because of what has been like put inside your head. But at the same time, that's the dark side. But as I say in the books, like dark doesn't come without
Without
light.
light.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And so the beauty of it all is like the power of words in this white magic, in the sense of you can also soothe yourself, heal yourself, and heal others through the power of words and the words you're using. So if you say, okay, for me, I never really talk with my patients about depression. I most likely say, your ecosystem build this. So it's kind of like this disease. We are not going to call it an angel because you're suffering. So this disease is kind of like pregnant with you, and to help you being rebirth, because your entire system is seeing that now you're not going into the path that you're supposed to go through. You need to like change your direction and find yourself again, because there you're losing yourself, and apparently
Yes.
you cannot get out of that. You're stuck in this, so your entire system will depress, put everything on hold. You cannot move. You cannot really go out. So you're stuck with yourself at the same time. But it's interesting because as soon as you sit and you change your, as Wayne Dyer says, when you change your perceptions of things, things change. It's not
Yes.
magic.
Oh my God. So true.
Yeah, but it's literally the reality. And once you realize that, you there's so many things that you can do, and it's a little light that lights up in the patient head, and then all of a sudden they can start to embrace a little bit more, and find actually with my help their path again. And it's funny how many months, or for some people who are very deep traumatic things, years later, they can look back and feel like, oh wow, you remember, doctor, the things that you tell me like in the beginning. And you even say, because I say that directly in the beginning, you know, I'm not going to insist on that part now, because you cannot even receive that information because you are suffering and in all of that. So that's not the time. But I will talk to you about that in few months. And
Yeah. Yeah. In the future.
when they pass to the other side, they feel like, oh wow, that one, she's young, but she had it right.
Yes. Young, but very, very, very wise. And there comes that old soul in there again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. Oh my God. What a blessing to be able to talk to you today. I thank you so much. It's just so random that we met, and it's just like
Yeah, it's so funny.
I feel like I've known you for 10 years. I'm coming to Belgium. I need some chocolate, and we're going out for a coffee.
And some waffles. Yeah, the food here is great. Huh? It's not
Yes.
heavy, but we have other things that are nice. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, because
Oh, it's my pleasure.
but you said the same. I believe that us as writers will, most of us were more like introvert and don't really like to be under the spotlight and all of this. So most likely, but I had to do that website because, well, for sure, I developed all of that, which also is not really like put in place in Belgium. But since in my old practice, I created everything. as well as the fact that people, they can go and actually arrange their planning with me and everything on my own website, as if I was a hospital or something like that. And
Oh,
that's why
right.
yeah. So that's very nice, because I create with, I would say, on that path, I had to do lots of jobs at the same time, self-publish the books, open the practice, analyze everything. So that's a lot of things that I didn't plan in my life to do. But so that's why when you do those websites, and even in the books, you have to still talk a little bit about yourself and put your
Yes, yeah.
pictures.
Yes,
But
I'm building my website right now too, and I'm doing the same thing.
so
I'm
there
like,
are things that you cannot avoid. And when you're like an introvert, you feel like, yeah, but I don't want people to be like, oh, she wants to show off how she looks like. But as you said, I believe that because some people, when they meet me, they believe like, because as I said, I love beautiful things, being well dressed and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I'm not superficial at all. But
yes, very authentic,
on
very
my
authentic.
website, I was cautious about that, because I'm still a psychiatrist, and I wanted people to grasp the depth and not just the looks.
I hear you. I hear you. When I release the episode, I'm gonna put your links to your books up, and I'll also put the link to your website up. Not that you need any more clients, because apparently you have
No,
more than enough. But I would love for more people to know about your books. So,
yeah.
um,
The books, it's nice because there's like, if you take one poem at a time, even for some of my clients, one poem a day, and then self-reflect, introspect, think about it, resonate, let it sink in. I believe that there's already some work that can be done just with the books without me in the first place. And I would say by the end of this year or beginning of the next year, I will release my proper book on psyche, and that would be more didactical for people to actually kind of start their therapy. And then, like this, I can open with the master class a lot of things, because we believe that we're so different as human beings, but we have like a lot of similarities. And with the masterclass I will release, will help a lot of people in the comfort of their own home to be able to move forward on their path before having to see me, at least.
you gotta let me know when that comes out, girl. For real.
You try
I
to
would
give back.
I would love to check that out. That would be so great. Oh my gosh, that's so fantastic. Oh my gosh. So thank you again for your time. I really it was wonderful getting to know you, and your story is amazing. And I just think you're like just a fantastic light for this world. And you know, that's what we need. We need kindness and we need light. And the more people that are, able to give light to people, the brighter the world's going to get. And I think that's an important thing. So thank you for sharing with me, and thank you for sharing with our audience. And I hope you have a fantastic day. I'd love to stay in touch, but I won't bother you too much because I know you're very, very busy. But yeah, such
Well,
a pleasure to meet you.
yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me. It's a very nice
Yes, of course.
experience. And well, for sure, we'll keep in touch. And I
Yeah,
hope you can bring, as you said, that it's the main thing in life. As the same as what you do is, if it can at least bring some light in anyone's path, well,
yes.
that's all we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Take
Uh,
care.
okay, take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mental Health Raw and Open podcast with your host, Jody Betty. Our sponsor for this episode is Shauna Hawkins Photography. With a variety of prints and keepsakes to suit any decor, you're guaranteed to find the perfect piece for your space. Visit shaunahawkins.smugmug.com and make your neighbors jealous today. If you enjoyed today's show, please give it a like and don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And if you appreciate the work I do, why not buy me a coffee? Details in the show notes. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Dorian Kent and produced by Jody Betty and Dorian Kent. This has been a Raw and Open production.